Alright, action RPG and roguelite enjoyers. So let's talk about Hellclock. I got a lot of people asking me, is this game worth it? What's your thoughts on the game? What would you score out of a 10? So first off, let's go over a bunch of the frequently asked questions and I'll answer them. First off, this game is not free to play. It is 3.7 gigabytes. It took me about 18 hours before it was fun. And now I'm going to move on until there is a new update, as they are going to be updating this game, but that's about the time I had with the game before I was finished with it. There is only one class or character. You don't really get to pick your class, so to speak. You get to build into it, which I actually think is unique, but I think that it would have been really cool to select multiple different character models. That could be something that they can consider, as not everyone's going to enjoy the one character model that they have. So it is kind of an action RPG slash rogue. Don't think of it necessarily just like Diablo. It does have like health globe system of having like your health and your mana or energy, and then you have these other modifiers, legendary items, and then you can upgrade your skills. So there's a lot of action RPG elements, and I did have a lot of fun with it, and the customization's actually quite good. And basically what it comes down to, where it makes it a roguelite, is you lose everything but your constellations when you basically reset your game. And it kind of has a system that you reset and you gain extra constellation points as you progress through the game. So it's kind of explained all the things in the game. I want to go ahead and actually start off with the roadmap, as there is more content coming out with this game. So let me go and actually go over this. So right now we already have the campaign, we already have the constellations, and we can play up to a certain hell difficulty. And then later they're going to add a crafting system as well as crafting currency and some sort of corruption. They're going to be adding some new movement as well as new animations and more constellations. And then there's going to be a paid expansion next year with this game. So this game actually has a roadmap, which I think is a good thing, because if I invest into a game, sometimes the first thing that I think about if I want to put my time into something is, well, is there something else coming out later in the game? So there is going to be an Act 4. There's 3 acts currently in the game, and they're going to add new skills, Relic, cube crafting system, which sounds interesting, and I think that there is a decent amount of depth to the game, which is pretty dang cool. So again, there is more content coming out, but here's what we currently have. So how it kind of plays is you make a new character every single time in terms of levels, and as you level up, you basically get to choose a modifier on whatever skill that you want. Your first playthrough is going to be basically acquiring the skills, as you do need to go to several different acts to get certain upgrades for your character to allow you to run the other skills, because that's how the skills unlock, by just getting to the next act. But pretty much what it comes down to is whatever skills that you have equipped, you get these blessings, and these all again reset on every single one of your runs, where you can see skill does more damage, but it's going to cost more mana. You can get extra endurance, which is going to make your skills cost more mana, and your mana cost could actually be a good thing that it's spending more. Or you can apply bleed or burn. There's a lot of things that you can apply. And then if you hit an enemy with a certain ability, it'll do X, Y, and Z. The customization is actually quite good in this game. And then also you can upgrade the skill points in your skill bar, and you actually may want to actually have some of your skills lower level, because the mana cost will be higher as you progress, or you want it for a very specific reason. But the cool thing with this game is really this relic system. So if you've ever played Diablo 2, think of this basically as charms. You have an inventory called relics, and as you acquire these, also, by the way, one thing that's important is when you get these relics to drop, you can't just equip them immediately. You have to basically go back to town and reset in order to utilize them. But how it works is you equip them in this little charm slot, and you can upgrade your charm slots here. And if I activate a certain ability, like this one over here, if I activate prayer, which usually gives you HP and regen, it's going to instead deal damage to us, but how it works is it life drains us. However, I made this build use another item that anytime we life leech, so I have to be at not full HP, I get to get a huge bonus of damage that ramps up. And that's why I run this. So there's a lot of cool, complex ways to actually make builds. I love the complexity with this game. Probably one of the best games in a long time for people that like to think about theory crafting in action RPGs. This is a really awesome system. I loved it. Gear, though, I want to say is a little bit weak. As of right now, it's basically stat sticks. Most of the gears like HP, dodge chance, resistances, flat damage, crit strike chance, stuff that you expect to see on an action RPG. There's not a huge amount of text lines, but where the real customization comes in is not gear. It's, again, your relics. This is a huge part of the game. And then also there's like a bell tree where you can upgrade your skill ranks, you can get extra HP, you can get more mana, kind of stuff again you would expect to see on a skill tree. There's not really too many interesting things honestly to mention with the skill tree, but as far as the constellations, this is awesome. So there's tons of these constellations, and you basically rank up certain ones to unlock more constellations, but here's just one, not to overwhelm you guys with just showing like 50 different constellations here. But basically, when I kill an enemy, I have a chance to generate this orb, and then dealing damage to an elite also has a chance to grant you an orb, so it makes it so if you're on a boss, you still can generate these. But you can have up to 3 of these agility orbs, and each agility orb gives you move speed and attack speed. Now, the one I'm running in the gameplay in the background that you guys are seeing right now, I'm actually running this one for specifically lightning that applies a debuff on the enemy, those little spinning orbs. That one isn't the agility orb, that's like a mana orb. So there are a lot of different orbs that you can mix and match and do lots of crazy things with to build into certain things. To give your enemies negative resistances. I like this. This is a really cool system. I just wish that the game was an actual action RPG versus a roguelite. That is my big point of criticism, but that's something subjective. Maybe you like to lose all of the progress that you get every single time. Some people like that, like a fresh start, but you do get to keep your constellation points, but then you re-put them in. You can't respec constellation points unless you just reset your entire game. You lose all your relics, all your blessings, all your skill trees. I hated that. I don't mind it if it's an option, but I really wish that we could have kept that. That's like my biggest area of criticism for the game. But now let's go over some pros and cons real quick, and then I'll rapid fire all of the scores. So the pros: the game is fun. There is good build depth. I like it. There is definitely RNG, but how the game works is you will eventually get to a point where the enemies feel like they're too hard, and you basically reset, or you die on purpose, and then you're going to go reset, and then you can redo the thing. There's also a timer, but you can just disable the timer, or you can get a node, which gives you basically infinite time because you get extra time on kill. But basically, the game is quite fun. I really enjoyed the first playthrough of this game. It was a blast. But then after I lost all the gear, I'm like, dude, I really don't want to farm all these relics again. That was the biggest pain point again, especially since I had a lot of really cool ones. I didn't like that. So one of my biggest cons, I know that it's a roguelite, so reset is not optional. I wish they just said, hey, if you want to reset everything, you can do that. But I wanted to continuously just play the game on the harder hell difficulties without having to reset everything. That's the one thing I really didn't like. And then also, you cannot redo the constellation. Again, this would something would be nice. There's only one character in the game. That's like my only real cons here. And honestly, I would say another con is I want more, but that's kind of a pro also. But again, I had enough fun with the game. So as far as it goes, let me go and give you guys some kind of numerical scores or ideas just in case you guys want to pick up this game yourself. So as far as the graphics go, I don't feel like the graphics are really that insane. I feel like it's like Xbox 360 era over here. And that's not necessarily a bad thing at all. If I was to rank the game in graphics, I feel like this game could probably run on the Nintendo Switch too, which is a good thing. It seems like it doesn't require too much in terms of like visuals. However, I want to say optimization did get poor when I had a bunch of minions, and I had all the minions shooting a bunch of projectiles. It was very laggy, so that's just something to mention. And then, who is this game actually for? Like, if you're more of a casual gamer, I would say it's actually meant for hardcore gamers. I'm talking people that love Path of Exile theory crafting. Now, could you get away with this game if you're just an average casual gamer? Maybe it would be recommended to watch a build guide or something like that, but I would say it's mainly oriented around people that really play action RPGs, which I personally like. Again, it's kind of up to you on that. As far as the gameplay, how does the gameplay feel? I feel like it's just good for the genre. Where the game really shines is, again, the relics in this game. I'm telling you, is it the coolest thing ever to have this whole inventory of these cool little powers. These are basically, think of it like legendary aspects, because most of you guys play Diablo that watch my channel, so think of these legendary aspects, but they can actually double dip with other skills, and it's so dang awesome. That's where the game feels like in terms of the combat. If I was to rank a game in the action RPG that has the best combat feel, right now Path of Exile 2 is still pretty dominant. Diablo 4 also in the gameplay feel department. Again, not the game's overall in terms of score, but how does the game feel when you hit something? I would say it felt like good for the genre. It just was decent. As far as audio goes, I felt like it works. It wasn't anything super memorable. I really like Diablo 2. There's definitely some influence with the music here, but I felt like it works. It was average. It wasn't anything like Metal Gear Rising Revengeance or like Diablo 2 soundtrack, but it was okay. It did enough. As far as the customization, there is a really good amount of options, but it's really hard to have any game compete with Path of Exile 1 in terms of having jewels and affecting things in radius. It's got a crazy amount of cool options. I like it. Like I said, the Constellations is awesome. As far as the difficulty, I would say the game should not be difficult. What happens is you will get to a point where your character needs to go back to town to grab those relics. I hate that mindset. If I get a relic to drop that I'm super excited about, let me just equip it. I shouldn't have to go reset. Again, it is where this game is a roguelite versus a pure action RPG, where I feel like the game could have a mode where it's just straight up action RPG and I could pick like 2 or 3 classes in the very beginning. I think this game would be really well received from the action RPG community. So as far as the difficulty goes, I say that on average, most people will probably need to look up guides, but I mean, you can get through the first difficulty fine, but as you climb higher in the hell difficulties, it kind of becomes a little bit more of a slog unless you exactly what build that you want to go for or what synergies actually work, which is kind of cool in a sense because I like making build guides for this. So I would say that on average, most people would need to look up a build guide if they get stuck. As far as the grind goes, this is another point of criticism where again, it's the roguelite versus pure action RPG. So you get to a point when you're level 15 out of 20 in these little dungeons that you go through, because basically think of it, each act has its own dungeon and then there are floors, and once you get to the 21st floor you fight the final boss and then that's the end of the act. Basically, you need to do a lot of backtracking. It's not necessarily a side quest, but it is definitely requiring you to do backtracking, and I hated that. I just wish, again, when the item drops, let me pick it up. Don't make me go back to town. And the worst part is if I go back to town, it's not like, oh, I'm on level, let's say I'm on level 19 out of 21, and I need to go back because I need that relic to progress. Well, I gotta reset and go back to floor 1, and I didn't like that. That felt very bad. As far as the story, I would say that it has a story. Do I care about it? Not really. Is there crazy 3D rendering cutscenes? I would say there's really nothing special here. I would almost say it's okay, but again, with comparing it to certain games that have like, again, gorgeous cinematics, let's see, Diablo has, I would say that it might be in the below average, but I really don't care about the story too much. I would say it's okay if you want to watch it, but like it, again, it didn't really innovate really anything. It's like, this guy's bad, we go kill him. It didn't, again, it wasn't like Deus Ex. It didn't really require too much brain activity, but it doesn't really need to. Again, the main reason why we play action RPGs is usually just spend hundreds of hours in the game, and you could maybe. Let's go into gameplay time. So for me, I felt like once I was at 18 hours, I felt like that was enough. Now, could you replay the game and go harder difficulties and do more and more, get more constellations? But the average player is probably going to jump in, spend 20 hours, and then they're going to be like, well, that was cool. I'm happy with it, but that's about the time that I got with the game. Now, as far as the price, I would say that really good price point, honestly, for me personally, would have been $10. It would be a great price point, but I still think the game is worth it because it got me at least enough time. And I know recently we just played the Titan Quest, and Titan Quest has, at least from my playtime experience, has less length of time that I could put into the game. But because this game is also getting more stuff in the future, it's going to be what I would consider worth it. Again, people that made this game, you can tell that they've played action RPGs before because of all the cool things that you can do. I like it. As far as bugs go, I only received one bug, and it basically was something to do with one of the minions on the outside of something, and I could not complete a Constellation completion, which was very annoying, but that was a bug that I got, but it was fine. So what is our overall final score after all of these? Here's where I would rank it. I would say the game is a fantastic game overall. However, I really wish the game had the option to specifically make it so you can continue the game and the hell difficulties without resetting all your stuff. Like, that would have just made this game so much more enjoyable, because it is painful, especially for the people that may not have 30 hours a day to grind and get those relics again and again and go through the constellations. I think that that's the big pain point, is the grind, and it's unnecessary. They could have just made it a tick on an option. So if they can tick that as an option, I could say the game is an easy 8 or 9. I really like this game overall. It's a really cool game with the relics, and especially if we're gonna get more relics. And again, I'm counting also that these are coming out in the future and they're going to be awesome new updates. I really like this game, but the problem is again, the resetting is so painful that it really wants me to put this game at 5 or 6 because of that. So I'm going to say, if in the future they can make an update where you can continue with the progression of your character, I could easily, happily give this game an 8. And if they added, let's say, like 2 or 3 different character models, I just didn't feel like a really cool hero. You know how like in Diablo, when you see all the characters around the campfire, like, wow, these guys are awesome, but this is just a dude with a hat and a gun. He doesn't seem like a hero character. So if they could do that, we could maybe bump up the score to like 8.5 as well. But in the current state, because you cannot reset, I really hate it. Like I said, that is my biggest problem that I personally had with the game, and it's subjective. Some people like that. That's where it makes me want to put the game at a 5 or a 6, because I see this as a huge area where this game could have just been a fantastic game. So I'm going to go ahead and right now give it a 7 in its current state. Like I said, it's just such an easy switch to not reset and not delete all of the items that I had progressed and got. I could easily give it an 8. It's just such a simple switch. And then maybe we could even go a little bit further again if they just made just a couple different character models. I know it sounds like something mild in terms of like what would it actually do for gameplay? Absolutely nothing. But I just want to say in any video game, you should want to look at the character and be like, dude, wow, I want to be this character. Versus, again, the guy just kind of looks like a dude with a gun. And even when you're using the Whirlwind, obviously the gun isn't really useful there. But the game is quite cool, and I could easily recommend the game for sure. Again, that small change. So I'm going to put 7 and 8 right now. Again, it's just such a small thing that would really improve the game. But anyways, that's my review. That's my thoughts on the game. And if you should get it, if you love action RPGs, it's an absolute no-brainer. Lock in, have some fun with it. But just keep in mind, all your stuff gets deleted, and that's a big area where it may feel frustrating. But if you like roguelite games, you'll enjoy that for sure, and then we'll see where it goes in the future. But anyways, if you guys have played the game, let me know your thoughts. What would you guys give it out of a 10? And if you guys want to see some build guides for the Whirlwind, I also had this build over here, and I'm going to briefly talk about this before I sign out. This was another cool build that I really liked. So how it would work is I would actually use this skill called split shot. So normally it shoots out, and it shoots out 3 projectiles, right? But you can get this legendary relic, and what it does is for each additional projectile, you get basically a huge multiplier, and this multiplier can go crazy. It's like 200%. You can see right now this is like gameplay of like earlier stages in what's called the hell difficulty, and in the hell difficulties you have like so many runs before your character's kind of done, and then you're basically resetting again and again. But in this instance over here, this is what I was building into. I also had these minions, and the minions would also shoot out my skill, and then all the stuff that I would get with my minions can also apply the split shot as a relic, and then all the modifiers that I get for myself also apply to them because they're using the same skill I have. It's just such a cool game, man. Anyways, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up. Again, let me know your thoughts on this game, and if you have any questions about the game, let me know and I'll answer. But I'm going to pretty much be done with Hellclock until we get a new update, but very fun game, and check out both of the build guides if you haven't even played the game. That way you guys can see some variety, really cool ideas with this game, and I'm really excited to see the future of this game. But anyways, thanks for tuning in. Peace out, guys.